Welcome everyone to this really interesting event. My name is Melanie D'Mellow. I'm the head of engineering at Animal Dynamics. We're a spin-out company from Oxford University, formed in 2015, growing very fast at the moment. We're 62 people. I have a recruitment list of about 20 that we're working on, so really, really exciting times for us. Our vision is to deliver bio-inspired solutions that positively impact both nature and humanity. And by bio-inspired, we mean that we look at how animals have evolved, we understand why they are efficient and effective at what they're doing, and we apply that to our engineering. At the moment, we're focusing on a particular product that will revolutionize the way that payload is delivered. So I'll be telling you a bit more about that. Here's an image of one of our products. It's called Stork. It's a payload delivery system based around a parafoil vehicle. It has no human pilot, so it behaves autonomously, and it's able to take off, fly, go to a particular location, drop a payload, drop multiple payloads, and then land. This particular one is a prototype that's been flying for a couple of years, and we've been working for about 6 months now on a larger version, which is 400 kilos. It will be able to carry 135 kilos of payload. So we're talking to various customers about what they would use that for, and looking to have a flying vehicle early next year to do demonstrations. And really the unique selling points of it are that it's very safe. So if we have a failure of the power plant, it will simply glide because of that wing. It's relatively low cost, low environmental impact, very rugged and robust. We've had customers accidentally fly these into the side of walls and vehicles and sort of bend it back into shape and take off again. So we've got good feedback from our customers so far. We're really excited about what's going on in the world in technology, and we have chosen 3 themes for our core technology development, which will run in parallel with our product development. So these are the areas where we think Animal Dynamics will differentiate itself in the future. So we have a theme looking at autonomy, artificial intelligence. We have a piece of work looking at how bees see the world and navigate. We're looking at how customers will interact, not just with a single vehicle, but with fleets of vehicles. How will they manage those, maintain them, get payloads to the right place at the right time, just make the customer's life easier. And our routes, our bio-inspired routes, are looking at the structures and mechanisms that animals use to move efficiently. So for example, the way that birds modify the shapes of their wings to take account of the weather. We're looking at things like that. So as I say, we're very actively recruiting throughout this year. Right now, you can go to our website and see some of our vacancies. We've got a couple of control engineers vacancies at the moment. We use a lot of model-based engineering approaches, so we use the MATLAB, Simulink, and associated toolboxes to create synthetic environments and then operate our vehicles in a virtual environment to develop the control systems. So that's the skill set required for those 2 roles. We have a lot of systems and safety work going on, so we're looking for somebody to look at the cybersecurity aspects of the safety of the vehicle and do the risk mitigation of that. Later on this year, we will be looking for software and electronics engineers and more control engineers to support the core technology developments in autonomy and in those cloud-based management services to interact with users, let users plan missions, organize their fleets, etc. So I've just listed the types of languages and approaches that we use at the bottom of the slide there. We tend to take on flexible people who are team players who get stuck in and do a variety of things rather than being solely focused on one thing for the whole day, every day. That was a quick intro. Very happy to take questions.
Hi, Melanie. I'm gonna ask you one question that that I got. How are you kind of like structuring the organization when you have sort of like two distinct parts, like mechanical engineering and software engineering? How do you make sure that like how do you recruit people? Like, do you expect people to have been working in an environment which mixes hardware and software? If you could elaborate on that a little bit, that would
Yeah,
be
sure.
great.
So we try and use a fairly conventional matrix structure. So we look at what capabilities we need in engineering, so mechanical, software, systems, safety. So we tend to recruit capabilities and then assign them to projects. So we use Jira to do our project management and set up work packages, and then assign those to the individuals in the capability teams. So our line management structure, our career development framework, training, personnel management is via the capabilities such as electronics and software, and then the projects get organized effectively at right angles to that organization in a matrix structure. We don't expect people to necessarily have worked in UAVs or in product development before. We tend to recruit very much on attitude and excitement about technology, depending on the role, of course. If it's a senior role requiring experience, then that would be in the job description. But we're very much recruiting on attitude and people who are excited about what the world's going to look like in the future.
Yeah. And another question is, can you elaborate a little bit about the key technology challenges that you're looking to solve in the sort of coming 6 to 12 months? Like you've mentioned about some things that are happening with it. I'm sure that as with every product, whether it's software or mechanical, there are some things like problems that you're trying to solve, and usually like these problems end up being the exciting thing that is really enticing for people to join an organization.
Yeah, sure. There's lots going on. One area of particular interest is how do we fly beyond visual line of sight, and how do we prove to the regulators that it's safe? So what sensors do we need to put on the vehicle to detect objects, both in flight and then coming into land? So we've got some project work at the moment looking at radar, camera-based systems and LiDAR, and just working out, well, what suite of sensors do we need on the vehicle? And then how do we go on to fuse that data together to give the autonomous vehicle a picture of the environment? And then how does the vehicle make decisions about what it's learned about the environment? For example, if it needs to make an emergency landing, this is one of our particular challenges, and it needs to identify somewhere safe to land that isn't its pre-programmed landing site, and it needs to find a sufficient field. It can land in sort of 50 by 50 meter field, but we need to look at the ground and say, well, there's no people, there's no vehicles here, there's no threat. And that's a really interesting machine learning challenge, because we need to basically be sure that we're not going to land on somebody, and be able to prove to the regulator that that's safe enough.
Yeah. And when it comes, and that's the last question, when it comes to like particular technology expertise that you are looking for and that is most important for you, what would that be? And it could be both the expertise as well as the kind of problems that you would like to solve, and you're looking for people that have been solving them in the past.
Yeah, so we're as a startup, as you can imagine, we're putting a lot of processes in place at the moment. So as well as the particular software experience I listed on, we're also interested in people who've got experience of creating continuous integration, designing software for test, creating that system in MATLAB Simulink, for example, to auto-code software. So people who can cope with a startup environment where you're actually got to write the processes and develop the processes at the same time as you're actually developing the product. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, there's also a couple other. So Beata asked, Melanie, you are the head of engineering. What is your team structure?
Right, yeah. So I have at the moment a chief engineer of the Stork project, and he has within his area the mechanical, electronic, and perception sensor teams. Then I have a chief engineer who has been helping me set up the technology side of the business. He's now set that up and will be focusing very much on the cloud software. And we're going to be recruiting leads for the other technology areas. So I'll effectively have lead engineers responsible for particular areas reporting into me. So there'll be a chief engineer autonomy that we'll be recruiting very soon, and a chief engineer of the bio-inspired mechanisms and structures area.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have somebody who just looks after our data, so a product data management person as well.
Yeah.